I asked my girlfriend to dress conservatively before meeting my parents for the first time. Her response was sharp. Don't be ridiculous. I wear what I choose. I'm not your possession. That night, my parents pulled me aside and uttered a single sentence that shifted my entire perspective. It's strange how you can spend a year with someone, believe you're forging a future together, and then watch it unravel in one fleeting moment over dinner. That moment arrived on a Saturday evening, the first time my girlfriend, Lauren, met my parents. I wasn't anxious, but I was cautious. I knew my world and hers were vastly different, and I was about to discover if they could ever align. My parents are grounded people, the kind you'd call salt of the earth. My father, a master electrician for over 4 decades, is a man whose word is ironclad, his handshake a promise. My mother, a retired librarian, embodies quiet strength. They're warm, principled, and rooted in tradition. Their home is a sanctuary of simplicity, where loud debates or ostentatious displays have no place. It's a haven of tranquility. Lauren, by contrast, was a tempest of online ambition. A self-styled social media star, she was always curating her life for an unseen audience. Our relationship had been a constant tug-of-war between my reserved, private existence and her bold, public one. I stayed because I thought I loved her, convinced the person she was off-camera was her true self. I was mistaken. A week before the dinner, I broached the subject of her attire carefully. I knew a misstep could spark a firestorm. Hey, I said one night as she browsed a fashion site on her tablet. About Saturday, my parents are old school. That navy dress you wore to my office party last year would be great. You looked amazing in it. It was a gentle suggestion, cushioned with praise. A reasonable request. Her reaction was anything but. She slammed her tablet shut, her eyes blazing with defiance. Are you kidding me? You're dictating my wardrobe now. No, Lauren, I said, keeping my tone even. I'm just giving you a heads up about my parents. First impressions matter to them. I want them to see you for you, not just your outfit. They'll see me, she shot back, standing abruptly. All of me. I'm not going to dim my light and dress like a nun to please your outdated parents. Don't be absurd. I wear what I want. I'm not your property. And there it was, a simple request twisted into a battle for her identity, a stand against imagined oppression. I didn't argue or raise my voice. I just felt a sinking disappointment, a quiet certainty that the weekend would be a catastrophe. When Saturday arrived, Lauren showed up at my place in a dress that wasn't just clothing. It was a provocation. It was a form-fitting, glossy black number with a neckline that plunged daringly and a slit that climbed to her thigh. It was made for a late-night club, not a subdued family dinner. What do you think? She asked, her eyes daring me to object. I said nothing, just grabbed my coat. The dinner was an agonizing ordeal, one of the longest nights of my life. The moment we stepped into my childhood home, the air grew heavy. My mother, the warmest soul I know, paused for a split second when she saw Lauren's outfit, her smile tightening into something polite but strained. My father gave a slow, measured nod, his face unreadable. They didn't mention her dress, they're far too courteous for that. But their disapproval hung in the room, a silent, oppressive presence. Lauren sensed it, and instead of softening the tension with warmth or tact, she doubled down. She was brash, overbearing, dominating the conversation with tales of her influencer gigs and the petty dramas of her social circle. She stayed glued to her phone, snapping selfies at the table, oblivious to my mother's appalled expression. At one point, she laughed loudly, scrolling through her feed. "Oh my gosh, you have to see this," she said, shoving her phone toward us to display a photo of a competing influencer. "Look at her outfit, so try hard. She's desperate for attention." My father, who'd been silent most of the meal, finally spoke, his voice calm but resolute. "In this house, Lauren, we don't speak unkindly of others at the dinner table." Lauren stared at him, stunned, as if no one had ever dared correct her. She let out a sharp, dismissive laugh, rolled her eyes, and returned to her phone. I sat there, seething quietly. She wasn't just disrespecting me anymore. She was disrespecting my parents in their own home. She was a guest determined to unsettle her hosts, all to prove a petty point about her independence. The drive back was silent. She was furious, ranting about my parents' rudeness and judgmental vibes. I was so repelled by her behavior that I couldn't muster a response. I dropped her off at our apartment and said I was returning to my parents to help tidy up. She scoffed and slammed the car door. Back at my parents' house, the strained politeness had vanished. My mother was in the kitchen, scrubbing a pan with fierce intensity, her back to me. My father sat in his recliner, staring at the unlit fireplace. I started to apologize. "Mom, Dad, I'm so sorry about tonight. I didn't expect her to." My father raised a hand, silencing me. He looked at me, his eyes heavy with quiet wisdom. They pulled me into the den, away from the kitchen's clatter, and my father spoke the sentence that changed everything. "Son," he said, his voice steady and grave, "you don't build a future with a woman who sees your family as a stage instead of a home." It wasn't a condemnation or a command to end things. It was a clear, piercing truth that cut through my excuses and illusions. Lauren wasn't trying to blend into my family. She was trying to dominate it, to make it a prop in her endless, self-centered spectacle. In that moment, my path became clear. The relationship wasn't just fractured. It was a betrayal of everything I valued. My loyalty shifted to the principles my parents had raised me with. I knew, with a calm certainty as solid as the walls of their home, that I was done. I didn't end things that night. That would have been too simple, too dramatic, feeding into her narrative of me as the controlling villain. Instead, my response was measured, deliberate, and as devastating as the disrespect she'd shown my family. I returned to our apartment late and slid into bed without a word. For the next month, I became a shadow in my own life. I didn't argue or confront her. I simply withdrew. The caring, attentive boyfriend she knew vanished, replaced by a polite, distant stranger who shared her space. First to go was the money. Our finances were mostly separate, but we had a joint credit card for shared expenses. It had become her personal fund for clothes, outings, and the endless products she flaunted online. I called the bank and canceled her card, reporting it as misplaced. When she came to me days later, fuming that her card was declined, I gave her a blank, unbothered look. "That's odd," I said. "You should call the bank and sort it out." She expected me to fix it, to spend hours on hold for her. I just returned to my book. For the first time, she had to navigate her own financial mess, grappling with automated systems and long wait times. Next, I stopped aiding her online persona. I'd always been her unwilling photographer, capturing countless shots to get the perfect one for her feed. The weekend after the dinner, she approached me in a new outfit, phone in hand. "Babe, can you snap some pics? The lighting's ideal." "Sorry," I said, eyes on my laptop. "I'm swamped with work." She was floored. I'd never refused before. "But it'll take 2 seconds. I need this post up." "You're resourceful, Lauren," I said evenly. "You'll manage." She spent the next hour fumbling with a selfie stick, her frustration mounting with each failed shot. The effortless image she projected to the world now required effort, and I wasn't helping. Then came the social retreat. I stopped attending her influencer events and dinners with her friends. I started making my own plans, reconnecting with old friends I'd neglected because Lauren found them dull. Weeks into my quiet rebellion, she confronted me. "What's wrong with you?" she demanded. "You're acting so cold. You're not helping me, not even talking to me. Is this still about that dumb dinner with your parents?" "I'm just reevaluating what matters to me, Lauren," I said calmly. "And I'm not one of those things?" she asked, her voice dripping with self-pity. "You made your priorities clear that night," I replied. "Yourself, your image, your right to do whatever you please, no matter who it hurts. I'm just following your lead, putting myself first." The final blow was a simple property listing. Our apartment lease was ending in 2 months. We'd been loosely discussing buying a house together, one I'd have fully financed. One evening, she found me at the kitchen table, reviewing architectural plans. "What's that?" she asked, a spark of excitement in her eyes. "Plans for my new house," I said. "Our new house, you mean?" I met her gaze, my face expressionless. "No," I said. "Mine. I'm not renewing the lease here. I'm moving into my new place next month. You'll need to find somewhere else to live." The reality hit her like a tidal wave. This wasn't a spat or a rough patch. It was a complete upheaval of her life. She had no job to sustain her lifestyle, no savings, and now no home. Her reaction was explosive. She sobbed, screamed, pleaded, promised to change, to apologize to my parents, to dress however I wanted. It was all a performance, a desperate bid to reclaim the comfortable life she'd discarded. I was unmoved. I'd spent a month detaching myself emotionally. Her tears had no power. I calmly told her the decision was final and she had 30 days to make arrangements. Her parents, whom she likely called for support, were no help. After I quietly explained to her father what she'd done and why I was leaving, they were humiliated by her actions and offered no aid. She tried to turn our mutual friends against me, but her behavior at the dinner was too well known. Her attempt to paint herself as the wrong victim fell flat. In the end, she had to face the one thing she'd avoided her entire adult life: returning home. She packed her belongings and moved back to her parents' house. A 30-year-old with a collapsed influencer career and no prospects. It's been a year since then. I live in my new home, a place I designed and built with my own hands. It's a space of peace, order, and quiet fulfillment. My parents visit every Sunday for dinner. A few months ago, I started dating again. Her name is Emily. She's a pediatric nurse, kind, witty, and grounded. When she met my parents, she wore a simple, tasteful dress and spent the evening asking my father about his electrical work and my mother about her book collection. She saw a family and became part of it. I saw Lauren once, a few weeks ago, at a cafe with Emily. Lauren was with her old crowd, the ones who'd fueled her behavior. She looked worn, her face a mask of forced brightness. She spotted me, laughing with a poised, genuine woman who looked at me with real warmth. She saw the life she could have had, the one she dismissed as stifling and old-fashioned. Her smile wavered for a moment, revealing raw regret. She turned and left without ordering. My parents' words that night didn't just change my perspective, they reshaped my life. They gave me the clarity to see I wasn't just with a challenging partner, but with someone whose values were fundamentally at odds with mine. You can't build a lasting life on a foundation that's inherently broken. Lauren wanted to be the star of her own drama, and she was. But it's a hollow performance when the audience has left the theater.